I'm really sitting here in awe right now because I just pressed record on season two. Like, I have a season two of something. Y'all, it feels so unreal, but so amazing. Like, in a while, God, I'm really doing this kind of way. I didn't rush to get here, I didn't force the season. Hell, I didn't even know if I'll be ready today. But here I am, still learning, still growing, still becoming, but from a place that feels quieter, steadier. And before I say anything else, I just want to acknowledge that this season it feels like answered prayers I didn't even know how to ask for yet. It feels like growth that snuck up on me, like peace that I had to learn how to trust. I am enough. I am Sarah LaJoy, and this is Becoming, a space for the woman who's been everything but seen. Hey, honey. So, I've been waiting weeks to talk to y'all. So, let's get into it. I've been realizing something lately, and the more that I notice it, the more settled I feel saying it out loud. I am her. And that doesn't feel loud, it doesn't feel like a flex, it just feels like truth. I used to think that her was a future me, a more healed me, a more confident me, baby, a less tired me. But lately I've realized that I am who I once dreamed of. I just didn't recognize her while becoming her. Because when you're surviving, you don't just you don't just stop and look and say, "Wow, I made it." You just you're just doing what needs to be done. You're just trying to make it through. And that realization, it didn't come with fireworks. It came with peace. Like, oh, this is me. And that peace, it didn't come from life being perfect. It came from me finally believing I am exactly who God intended for me to be. And there's a verse that I keep near dear to me. Luke 1:45. Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her. And when I remind myself of that verse, I feel instant relief. Not pressure, but peace. Because belief, it doesn't mean that I have it all figured out. It means that I stop fighting myself and I stop asking God to make me someone else. And honestly, that belief has changed how I treat myself. And in this past season, I've learned a lot about myself. And one of the things that I'm most proud of for working through and healing and learning is when I was younger, I was labeled as angry, a bad temper, all that kind of stuff. But what I've realized is that I wasn't an angry little girl. I was a misunderstood one. I didn't have the language for what I felt. Nobody taught me how to understand my emotions or what to do with them when they showed up bigger than me. So I did what I knew how to do. I kept everything inside. And when there's no outlet, when feelings don't have a safe place to go, they don't just disappear, they build. And eventually they explode. And baby, when I would explode as a child, it was scary. I ain't even gonna hold you. So I realized that I wasn't difficult, I wasn't angry, I was overwhelmed and unheard. So now, as a woman, I honor that little girl. I don't shame her for what she didn't know. Baby, I thank her for surviving the best way she could. I thank her for learning to survive. I thank her for still going, still pushing. And now I'm learning how to give myself what she needed back then: patience, language, a space to just feel. And that's part of how I choose peace now. And baby, speaking of peace, over this past year, I started singing love songs to myself. And I didn't even realize what I was doing at first. I just knew that it brought me peace. One of my favorite songs of 2025 is Are You Even Real by Teddy Swims. Yes, it's a love song, but I don't hear it as someone singing those words to me. I hear it like I'm singing them to myself. You're so beautiful, spiritual, more like a miracle. And instead of brushing past those lyrics right there, I let myself receive it about me, not in a proud way, but in a healed way. Because I'm allowed to see myself as beautiful, not just on the outside, honey, but spiritually, and how I love, and how I keep choosing growth, baby, and how I'm still here. And then there's part of me is scared that you might be invisible, too good to be true. And that part right there, it really makes me think because that's how peace feels for me right now. Like I have my moments where I'm calm, not spiraling, not reacting the way I used to. And I catch myself thinking, wait, is this real? Like, is this where I'm like, is this for me? Am I really living here? Am I really living like this, choosing peace without forcing it? And I'm learning that that's not fear. That's just me in an unfamiliar space. So for so long, my body was used to the chaos. It was used to the being on edge, used to the fixing, the over explaining, the holding everything together. And so when things feel steady now, my instinct is to question it. Like, is this temporary? Am I allowed to feel like this? Am I allowed to settle here? And I realized that questioning, it doesn't mean that I'm not healing or parts of me haven't healed. It means I'm adjusting. I'm adjusting to a version of me that isn't living in survival mode anymore. So when peace feels too good to be true, it's not because it won't last. It's because I'm learning a new normal. And instead of rushing myself out of it, I'm learning how to stay. And my favorite part of that song is "You never do too much, somehow you're still enough for me." Because for so long, I thought I was too much because that's how people made me feel. Nobody ever came out and said you're too much. Hell, shout out to my friends that tell me I'm not too much. I love y'all real bad, real bad. But but it showed up quieter than that. It showed up in the sighs, the eye rolls, and being told that I was doing the most. And it made me feel like my feelings needed to be edited. So I learned how to shrink without realizing it. I learned how to soften my tone, how to tone down my tone, second guess my reactions, explain myself over and over just to be understood. And when you do that long enough, you stop being asked. You don't think to ask, am I being misunderstood? You start to ask, what's wrong with me? But here's what I learned in this season, that I'm not too much. I wasn't too much. I was expressive in spaces that didn't know how to hold my emotions. I was honest around people who were more comfortable with silence. And that doesn't make me wrong. It just means I was asking for understanding from people who didn't have the capacity to give it. And now when that old thought tries to come back, am I too much? I answer it differently now. No, I'm enough. Hell, I tattooed it on me. I stamped it on me. So I see it every day, and it's a reminder I am enough. So singing those words to myself has been a form of self-love for me. It's how I remind myself I was intentionally made, that I'm not accidental. I'm chosen. I'm real. And sitting here in that truth is where I find peace. What excites me now is Bible study. Not because I have all the answers, but because I finally enjoy learning. Baby, I love opening up the word and letting it meet me where I am. Not rushing, not trying to be deep, but just letting God teach me, talk to me, be with me. I'm excited about learning how I can be better. And not better than anyone else, but just better than who I was yesterday. And one of the biggest things that I'm proud of for learning is that I don't need applause. Not from outsiders, not from family, and not from friends. Putting myself first to me looks like no more over explaining. Do y'all realize how draining it is to constantly explain yourself to people who aren't equipped to understand you? So now, putting myself first means I don't talk past my peace. It means I trust God with the outcomes. Trusting that's what meant for me won't require me to shrink or explain myself into the ground. So, baby, if you're listening and you feel like you're still becoming, you might already be her. You were put here intentionally. You are allowed to learn as you grow. And we don't have to have it all figured out to be exactly where we're supposed to be. Another thing that has become clear to me is that my kids have known different versions of me. So my kids, they're all 4 years apart, from Jada to Cameron to Jalen, 4 years apart each. And when you think about it like that, each one really did meet a different version of me. And for a long time, I carried guilt about that. But lately, I'm learning how to replace shame with understanding. So, if you're a mom and you're healing while raising kids, episode 2 is for you. We're talking about growth, grace, and learning how to parent from healing instead of survival. So, honey, I'll see you next Friday. And remember, every story I share, every voice I share, is so she walks away with something. You are enough. And I love y'all real bad, real bad.